The Bitcoin bottom is in. This is at least what one of the famous Bitcoin prediction models suggests right now. So in this model, it says that the bottom is already in. And in this video, I want to show you this model briefly. And then I want to speak about whether the bottom could be in or where the bottom could be if it isn't. And this video is so important. So after a very long time, I'm here back on YouTube to tell you this because Bitcoin has been going through a very, very different time. It has been a very difficult time for Bitcoin. And after this bear market, I believe there will be a new summer. But when this summer is coming is so important. But it's very, very, very crucial to be now here and not sleep through the bear market. I know the social interest is still weak. I know a lot of people are still waiting for the signal to get into it. And now in this video, I want to speak about it. So stay with me. This is so, so important if you want to stay in crypto and if you want to be a successful investor in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has changed. Bitcoin is not this niche asset anymore. It really is an asset that is in the broad financial spectrum of institutions, of everybody. So Bitcoin will not disappear anymore. The time that Bitcoin disappears is over. Things have changed. This is also visible in the chart that I will show you here in this video. But yeah, let's get into it. Don't talk too much, just get into it and I show to you what I mean. All right, guys, what you see here is the Bitcoin power law model by Giovanni Santos Dasi. And the Italian physicist has built this model based on the old data points of Bitcoin. And he claims that this lower bottom here, this support line, the red line down here, is the major support for Bitcoin. And what he claims is that this has always held. He also states that the top line, this violet line, isn't that important, but more for the power law is this support line down here. And when we look at the numbers, the support currently sits exactly at $60,587 US dollars. So it's actually $3,500 below the current price of 64,000 for a Bitcoin. And this is very impressive because we have seen that it touched it basically. It went like, it touched it a little bit below. Okay, it's the support, it shouldn't go below. But you also have to understand that a scientific model like this is based on the numbers that have been put into it. So if you use a bit different numbers from different exchanges, from different days, different hours, whatever, it can alter the number quite a little bit. And then we can be 1,000 higher or 1,000 lower. I have told people about this power law model before, and I'm always mentioning that there are different power laws online. There is another one which was bitcoinpower.law. Unfortunately, it's offline now. So there is this Bitbo power law that I'm showing in this video. But the other one had a bit of a lower support. I think it was in the high 50s, maybe even lower than the current low. So it could go a bit deeper according to the other models that we have. But let's look into the chart because the chart is showing us other very impressive things. So if we look at this long-term Bitcoin chart here, I used it on TradingView from crypto. So it goes back all the way to the genesis, almost like 2009, when the first Bitcoin prices have been traded at just above a few cents. So this is the oldest that you can find here on TradingView. And you see the 200-week moving average is this yellow line. And this yellow line has been holding very strongly as support in the early days of Bitcoin. And currently, we are sitting again at this level here. So if you look closely, you see that the yellow line actually is somewhat below right now here at 62,872. So we are above it again and we tested it, we dropped below. You see we closed one weekly channel here significantly, pretty significant below. And then we went up again and we shoot up and we are currently fighting with this. And what is very, very optimistic for us to say, hey, maybe this power law model with the 60,000 is really correct, is that the last week has actually closed above this line. And also the current week seems to be closing. The day is not over, it's Sunday, but it will soon close, and the likelihood that it closes above this line is getting pretty high right now. But there are other things to consider. All right, this is a short break. If you watch this from Europe, this is very important because there is a once in a bear market opportunity right now. And I did it myself as well. I can tell you, I put my money where my mouth is, and I used OKX to get 8% deposit bonus. It's just now for the European Union customers because they want to catch all the Binance users and all the users that come from exchanges which did not get the MiCA license. And they want to get you, so they pay you a deposit bonus of 8%. And this is insane because you can use the money immediately and buy crypto again. So if you think that the bottom is near, if you think that this is the Bitcoin bottom, you could buy. So you could deposit either from your bank account or you deposit from another exchange where you have some stable coins, and you get 8% for 1 year having the money there. So 8% is fixed return plus your investments, because you can invest with the money directly on the exchange. But I will post a link down below if you want to support me, if you want to support my channel and want to get me a deal, a big deal with OKX, then support that and sign up for me, please. That would be so great. I would be so grateful. And now let's continue with the video. And while in the early days, you see, we have been very substantially supported by this, it hasn't worked out that great in the last bear markets. And things have changed. We need to speak about this as well. But here in the old days, we always tapped it. Maybe within a week we went below here. When you look at 2015, I think most people were not here yet at this time. I wasn't here myself. I came into crypto somewhere here in the summer of 17, I believe. I bought my first Bitcoin for like this area, 3,000, something like that. So I lived through this very euphoric state of these months here, and that kind of got me hooked to Bitcoin, I guess. But so this was the early days. Then we had it very clearly as support here in 2018. And there is another significant thing about this 2018 chart that I will speak in just a moment about, but we see that it held strongly here. It never went below, and it also had a rally even here up to this peak in the middle of 19, just to kind of go sideways. Maybe it was already about to build here a new rally, but then you remember what was here in March 2020, I guess you remember, it was the COVID crisis, and that kind of made it dip briefly even below this line. And this is, I would kind of cancel this because it's not that of a significance to this long-term chart. It's more a black swan event. We didn't know that this will happen. We didn't really make the price that the stock market, the crypto market, they couldn't really know the price before. Although we have to say, building up to it, there was already a slowdown here in Bitcoin. And then we look at the further rallies here. We see the weird double peak. We know Elon Musk back then here somewhere, he put Bitcoin in his bio on Twitter back then, and he made it shoot up much faster here. I think it was in March or something, or in February of 2021, when he made it jump up much faster than we thought. So this is why we got this steep rally, and then we had to cool down, and we got another high, which is in the RSI. If you look down here, it's visible that this was actually, from many indicators, the more significant high. This was like a secondary high, and often, you know, if the support is not as strong, because it does never go in this overbought situation, there is no euphoria, there is nothing. It's kind of a bit weak at this point. So here we could have known, if you were here and if you watched everything, you could have known that this is not so substantial. Also, to be fair, you could think at this point that it goes higher from here and goes back into euphoria. So it's very hard to predict. But here it looked very devastating already. So at that point, we all should have known that it goes lower. And then it did the following. It fought here. It fought here for the 200-week moving average. So here we also had many weeks. If we count the weeks here, we also had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks kind of before we dropped below it again. And now we have been fighting. We went below 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. But we look a bit stronger than here because we actually closed above it again. So we could think that it goes lower here, but we also could say it could just rally from here. And if it rallies, it probably goes to the side for a while before it does so and stagnates here around this 200-week moving average. However, there are also some reasons to consider it will go lower like it did here. You remember if you were here 2022 in November, why did it go that low? This was when the FTX collapse happened. At this point, Bitcoin went another level lower and we got a new bottom. We could have, I mean, this is always dubious speculation, like some others say, right? So if we look at these things like COVID, like FTX, like whatever, we could say, okay, we would have moved up just from here and had a more smooth run to the upside. Maybe this was the bottom if FTX didn't happen. However, FTX was a very important event. Also, what hasn't happened this time, there has not been a real liquidation event. So what we always wait for is a liquidation event where everybody sells, where everybody says it's over. And this was this event where a lot of people sold their Bitcoin, got very fearful, and the Bitcoin went to stronger hands and to hands who bought it cheaper. It's very easy to hold Bitcoin here at 15, 16,000 if you bought it at 16,000, right? Then it's not a problem for you. But if you bought up here somewhere in this region and then you go down, you are minus 75%, that's not easy, right? So the weak hands who couldn't stand it anymore, who couldn't have this minus on their balance, they sold to stronger hands. And eventually this bull market started. And this is something I am currently still waiting for. I am waiting for this great flash out. And what you do not see in this chart, but in other charts, if you look at the Bitcoin on Binance, for instance, you see the volume here, right? And what is not visible currently is the volume. So the capitulation here had a lot of volume. Currently the volume is low. Okay, we're looking against Tether. This is Binance. Tether, this is still, I think, the biggest trading pair in the world, but it's got smaller, obviously. There are new pairs with Circle's US dollar. There are new pairs because some Europeans cannot trade here anymore and so on. So other exchanges have won a bit. Binance is maybe not as dominant as it was back here. So we could say this is a reason, but the volume has been super, super low and there is no spike, right? I don't expect it to be a spike like this maybe because on this trading pair, the volume might not never be so high anymore as it was here because after FTX collapse, you know, Binance got even bigger, but we must see this spike and that hasn't happened. So these Bitcoins that have been sold, they have not been changing the hands so many times or so substantially in such a volume that we can speak about this, right? And as I said, flash out event and volume, they usually come together. What is a bit bad also is that we see already volume spikes here in this area, but we do not see it here. So it could be that it takes a while until we see the low. I still think we will see it somewhere in summer or in early autumn. And I believe that we will see it somewhere around the 65 to 70 level, right? So when we think about this, that Bitcoin's bottom, Bitcoin's volatility has been declining, but it has been declining slowly. So we had the first bull market, which has like 92 sell-off, then it was like 88 or something. And last bull market, it was still 77%, I believe, that it was sold off. So this time, why not have it like here, 66, 67, 70? I think it's very unlikely that we are already at that point because we would see a much, much stronger impulse. We would see much stronger volume. I think the only way that this kind of results in a mega bull market in this super cycle now would be if, I don't know, it would be that a big country says tomorrow we put Bitcoin on our balance sheet, like China, United States, some huge country must do that. That could be the only thing that we say, okay, now the market is so confident and we run up. But any other case, I do not think it will happen. I think we need to wait for this. And yeah, if you liked this content, make sure you give me a like here on my channel. I want to continue. I want to be here again because I think it's very crucial now to speak about this regularly, to be here in the market, because now is the time where we need to allocate funds to make big money in the next bull market. Look at the RSI, it's pretty low. I show you one more thing here in the RSI. You see the low usually appears earlier. This was this sell-off here, and then the higher lows are happening. And this is when you know that money starts to accumulate, because the sell-offs are getting smaller, but we still see lower lows. And at the same time, the RSI is not going as low. The same is starting to happen here, but I would still be a bit cautious about what I think, because you see, like, it took a few of these turns until it went really up. And who knows, it could still go lower, or we could see, as here, a second spike to the downside, which kind of marks the real bottom then. Then we also have this divergence. So we have a divergence here. You see it goes down, here it goes up, and here it could go up, and here it could go down. That could be the divergence. We already have it a little bit here, but I think it's not significant enough. So yeah, if you like that content, make sure you give it a like, and see you next time.